Hi, I'm GUYINAHATGAMES.
And I'm ZakashiGaming.
Welcome to the next episode of The Silver Foxes Gaming Does Video Game Music. We still haven't worked out a title. We're
No,
winging.
we never will.
No, never will.
Work in progress.
we just do what we do. Today, we still haven't worked out a name for this one. Paige had a great name for it, but I've long forgotten it. It's boss and fight themes in video games, not from role-playing games. Usually the best tracks are fighting tracks are usually from role-play games. They feature a lot of fighting, but this time we're going to feature non-role-playing games. And our first track today was brought by our own ZakashiGaming, and we are playing Diddy Kong Racing Boss Challenge 2. Enjoy. I noticed I was like swaying my shoulders. Do you know that meme with Shaq and the cat where they're going with the shoulders?
Yeah, the shoulder one. Yeah, I know that one.
I was doing that one with that track. It was like, it's so playful. It's so playful. Not what you think from like a boss track, is it?
No, not whatsoever. Not whatsoever.
So why did you bring this one?
I brought it because it's like when you. I'm trying to. I've sat here multiple times thinking like, why do I bring these tracks or what I want to bring? And sometimes you can look at a track and think, oh, it was a good track, it was a good song. Okay, I'm just going to bring it because it's a good song. Or does the song go along with the game itself, as in what's happening and the nostalgia of a certain thing? And for me, this track is that like it brings joy from the track itself, but also brings incredible amounts of hate and
usually boss tracks do as well.
The worst thing of my life is these certain tracks are embedded into people's heads, and I think most people that have played this game will know exactly where this track where this track is in the game. And it's when you're racing against the boss of that level, and they always cheat. It's like it's like get ready, and then the boss will go, and then you'll go.
Yeah.
And then it's like when I was a kid, that was infuriating to hell.
Mm.
And then you'd have this track that goes along with it, and it's something about it is just it brings that enjoyment and like as a kid you're so invested and your imagination's just going wild, and as you're playing this game, and it's almost the perfect song for me. And another thing is quickly as well is that I love how in the track it brings together the characters, like they all have, because they have a menu theme. When you go over certain characters, so like Diddy has one, and then you've got like Tipsy has one, and a few others. Well, they all do. And then in this track, every single bit of that song has like their it's like their own instrument.
Yeah.
When you're picking a character, and I think that's really is a really nice
It's a nice touch, though. You know, when like musical motifs, are assigned to a certain character, and then when a song plays, you know which character is which just based on certain musical motifs, even if the song has like the same melody per se. Which is great. I've not played this video game at all, not that I recall. N64 is not my favorite console, I'll say that.
It's the best console. You love it. You've got 10 of them. You've got 10 of them at home.
I sold one recently. It's not that I dislike the console, I just never grew up with it, and I do dislike the controller. It's not my favorite. I feel like the Nintendo 64, it's either love it or you hate it, and it's purely down to the controller. I don't think anybody could argue about the games on that console, which ultimately, in my personal opinion, it's the games, not the console. Yet how you interact with the games is just as important, and the N64 controller at that time was just not for me. And I never owned it as a kid. You know, you were given what you got as a kid, and I got a PlayStation because it was the most popular one in the UK at that time. But I dabbled in the N64 at a friend's house, but Diddy Kong Racing was not one of them. It's ones I just watched casually on certain speedrunners on Twitch. So I've not heard this soundtrack in its entirety, and listening to this track just today, I've not listened to it any time before that. When me and Zach exchange music on the Discord ready for the show, I try my best not to listen to them too much before the show.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So I can form an opinion of it in real time. With this one, I just got this sense of just like playful, like bouncy energy. It's like it's just that I don't know what the instrument's called, but it's like what's the instrument called? Where it's like a xylophone. It's like a instrument with the stick with the ball at the end, and you hit wooden.
Yeah,
it kind of sounds like that, but I know I'm most likely way off the mark. Me and Zach are not musically trained in any way, shape, or form. We could probably point out a guitar, bass, drums, piano, the common ones, but anything beyond that, we're just two individuals who enjoy music, and for me, myself, how that music makes me feel. And it certainly did feel like a racing track because it's quite fast. It's got a quite fast beat to it. And I don't know if the track itself was meant to invoke this like bouncy energy to it. I really didn't get the sense of a boss fight, though. It just feels more like a regular like racing track.
Know if you played the game.
I'm missing the context from that. So as you are wonderfully explaining to it, I can certainly imagine this would invoke a lot of other feelings for people who played this game, which is great. It's absolutely great. That was composed by I forgot. Here we go. David Wise. It's either Weiss or Wise. Apologies for pronunciation. Anything else you'd like to add to that one?
Not a lot really. Like I say, it was a fantastic track. I thought it was a great
fun
one to
track,
start off with.
And it's a great one in terms of boss fights or fighting from non-RPGs. The reason we picked the theme for the show is we definitely wanted to do a battle theme show of some kind. I imposed a challenge of let's not do role-playing games, because I think mine and Zakashi's
would be the same.
It would be
Exactly
either the same, or they would all be from role-playing games, because role-playing games typically have the best boss fights and the best accompanying music to it. Yeah, I wanted to highlight other video games from other genres that have just as good a boss fights, from games you may not expect would have that energy level of boss fights. And I think your choice of Diddy Kong Racing is a perfect example of it's a boss fight in a racing game.
Yeah.
In my own little private challenge, I also imposed a not to include songs from Sonic the Hedgehog and Devil May Cry.
I was weird. Do you know what? I was a bit like, why are you putting extra bits on it just for you? Just like, stop.
It's because all it would be Sonic the Hedgehog and Devil May Cry tracks. Because my video game taste is very much role-playing games or narrative-focused video games, or games that feature strong characters. And I wanted to get out of that zone and remember or discover music from video games that don't fit into that. And I had loads of tracks from games that, that'd be a great track, and then realized it's an action role-playing game, and it's like, ugh. And I checked on Wikipedia, and if a game says role-playing game in its description, then sadly I removed it for myself. Just my own little personal challenge I've set for myself to see if I could do it. After exploring my catalogue of games I finished and on my shelf, like, oh no, there's plenty of games. I have plenty of boss fights with great tracks, not from role-playing games, as is the next track I'm about to introduce, which is from Time Crisis, and it's the Wild Dog theme by Kazuhiro Nakamura. Apologies for pronunciation. And Zakashi's track for Tank from Left 4 Dead by Mike Morasky. Again, apologies for pronunciations. So, enjoy the first track, Time Crisis, Wild Dog. was Time Crisis Wild Dogs and Left 4 Dead Tank. I feel like as I was listening to that track that I've already brought that track to one of our live stream music shows, but I genuinely don't recall. Maybe you remember for me.
I don't think you have. I don't think we have, because I would have, we would have spoke more about Wild Dog. I think we would have done. I don't think you definitely, no. I think you brought another Time Crisis song, but I don't think it was that one.
I might have. Humble Beginnings, it would have been in there somewhere.
Right.
Which is also on our Silver Foxes Rewind channel over on The Red. If you know, you know. I love Time Crisis 1 so much, and I still listen to a lot of the tracks from Time Crisis 1, including this one, Wild Dogs. I love how a lot of the tracks in Wild Arms, it's quite subtle in Wild Arms, in Time Crisis. Where do Wild Arms come from? I don't know. Probably, Wild Dog, Wild Arms, probably where I got it from. Yeah. I like how a lot of the tracks in Time Crisis have this very subtle ticking. It's very subtle.
Yes.
I don't know if it's like a cymbal or some part of percussion, but it's incredibly subtle. It's right behind all the other instruments, and it's like emphasizing time is running out as a ticking clock. And in some songs, especially this one, it can be not as subtle and can be quite brought to the forefront, and it's accompanying with those drums like especially with the violins, and they quite pick up quite quickly. When you're like fighting that last level, it does genuinely feel like time is running out. Especially when you got all like the clock at the bottom is especially when it gets to the red, which got me as a kid a few times. And it's like the penultimate climax with Wild Dog, like who you thought was going to be the villain, and turns out who you didn't think was going to be the villain, thought it'd be the ginger guy. Can't remember his name. Garudo? Can't remember. It turns out it was indeed Wild Dog, and I enjoy it narratively. It works well with the backdrop of the castle, with the clock blowing up in the background to emphasize time is running out. The clock is literally blown up. I even love like the subtle when Wild Dog runs away and your character, in first person view, quickly just turns to the side to look at the girl, can't remember her name, the president's daughter, just to give, Richard Miller isn't just a mute character, there's some personality there in that, and he's actually a bit caring because he turned to look back at the president's daughter to check she was okay. I was like, that's pretty good subtle storytelling. In regards to this track, you do genuinely get the sense of like you're rushing. And this is like a track you want to play if you're running out of time, like you're late for work. Like, this is the track you want on, and you're running to work, and you're barely going to make it. Great track. Not as fast paced as you'd think it was. It is quite fast paced, but it's like not compared to like Diddy Kong Racing. There's certainly a sense of urgency to the track, and it's accompanied quite well with what's happening with the scenery, with Wild Dog like running through the castle top, and the enemies just plowing through you. Great track. What's your thoughts on it?
Like I said, most of the time with Time Crisis, or at least a lot of the games, is it kind of gets lost on me most of the time with some of the music, because you're so focused. At least when I go into those type of games, I'm so focused on trying not to die.
Absolutely.
Trying not to get shot. Yeah. And then over time, I've learned, and I've listened to the soundtrack because it was something that I always remember, and I was like, I should listen to it more. And the sound, like I said, the soundtrack is phenomenal. It accompanies the game, accompanies everything. But the game Time Crisis literally is. It's like it's got all the puns intended with the game, including from the songs to how it ends. And
typical action movie vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect. It is absolutely perfect for that. But with the Wild Dog, as you said, it's just the subtleness, and sometimes it brings to the forefront of the time. And when you mentioned it, it was like, yes, like perfect. Like how much that game reminds you of time. Like you've got to get through this game, and if you don't get through the game, then you're finished. And it's so perfect. You said all the best bits about this track. There's nothing much more I can add, other than, like I say, it's something that I didn't really appreciate when I was young, and it was much when I grew up, and then realizing that, you know, the soundtrack to this game actually made much more of an impact on the game than I would have realized as a kid.
That's a great thing about music, isn't it? And sound effects as well. I think sound effects is another underrated talent.
Yes.
They are both things that are absolutely needed, but it's not meant to always overshadow what you're doing in game, because you don't want it to be too distracting from what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Yet, if it was shit and it wasn't there, you would notice it. It has to be this beautiful balance of telling a story with what's happening on the scene, yet not completely overshadow or distracting you playing a video game, right? And I think that's very much the success of a great track. And I think Time Crisis Wild Dog and a lot of the tracks from Time Crisis 1 perfectly encapsulates that. There's a lot of crap going on the screen, yet has great music and sound effects which don't totally distract you from achieving the goal, which is to get through this chaos in a timely manner. And I think that could be lost sometimes. And it's one of the great things about us doing this show is that we can highlight, oh, hey, these are tracks that you may not notice within the moment, yet they are great pieces to listen to. And here's our own opinions as to why we think that. That would be a great way to emphasize that same philosophy as Left 4 Dead Tank.
Yes.
I don't have much history with Left 4 Dead. I played a little bit, and I couldn't tell you the context of when this track comes about, because I feel like Left 4 Dead is another one of those games where I think these two tracks complement each other quite well, in that the music and sound effects for Left 4 Dead are good, but not too good to take away from the scene that's happening, or too bad that it distracts you from what's happening.
Yes.
So maybe you can give context to what's happening with Tank.
So basically, most of the time is that most people who know Left 4 Dead, you are four survivors trying to get from A to B, and you have lots of special infected, and the one special infected you do not want to come across is the tank. And tanks, they will come, they are in every level, mostly nearly every level, and when that music drops from that first boom, the beginning of the doom 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 doom, that brings shivers down my spine every time I heard that. It was so like you're gonna run, because sometimes you could be, it's such a small little corridor, or you could be in the middle of an open battlefield, open field of where the tank could be. But
it does feel panicky.
You do not want to be fighting a tank in a corridor. You do not want to be up close. You need to be as far away as possible, and you're gunning it down from afar. And because, again, the thing launches cars, it can launch things at you. And with the track, as I said, going back to the beginning of the doom, 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 it just feels like dread. It's just things that it's the worst thing to hear when playing that game. Literally. And it can destroy your whole playthrough within seconds. It goes from that into more of the harmony of the voices, the women's and then that was great. That was a great impression, by the way.
That was very good. Excellent.
Not taken away. I could put myself forward for the next one.
ZakashiGaming, Silver Foxes taking requests.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's just menacing. The track is menacing, horror.
It feels quite raw. It feels quite raw.
Yeah.
And that was composed by Mike Morasky or Morasky. Again, apologies for pronunciation.
Morasky? Is it Morasky?
Possibly. I just got this sense of quite like the drums are really selling like a weight of something, like something heavy is coming.
Oh yeah.
probably would have been a good excuse to like watch some gameplay footage as you were talking. Might be an idea for the next one. Yeah, I felt it's something quite intense and raw, and something heavy is approaching. And I think the drums are doing a lot of work there. The drums like
Yeah,
are using a mix of slow and hot and like low drops. Like I'm getting a sense the tank is a big brooding force.
oh yes.
And I could certainly heard you talk about Left 4 Dead plenty of times throughout our life. It's a game you're quite passionate about, and you regard it as one of your favorites. Is Left 4 Dead still active?
Oh yeah, very much so. It's still the king of that genre. You know, there's been many games that have tried to dethrone it, but
Like
it's
Back
not.
to Blood, I remember that one.
Yeah, that did not very do well. And I know World War Z's got a bit of a following, but it's not Left 4 Dead. It's not brought that. I guess it's. I don't know what I think it's just the couch co-op, but it was just it was just done in a way of there was charm.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way I can say what Left 4 Dead is. And despite what the others are, they're just clones and they just miss charm. And it goes from just the main going from the survivors, even to the special infected. They all had charm, even in their own creepy little way. But it just brought the game, and it gave you more just gave you like enough there to feel like where have these things come from, or how are these about? Because there's not much lore to the game. It's just 4 survivors trying to get from to the exit, you know, to get off the to get in the helicopter at the end, and then fight a wave of zombies and special infected at the end. But the game's just full of charm. It's such an experience that I think mostly everyone should at least play. Just give it one good shot. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But the music in all of Left 4 Dead is so pivotal to the game, because it's all about the cues. It's all about, you know, even the hordes. When the horde gets triggered, you know, there's a little cue for that. And these are all little things that can trigger, you know, I go off again. This is a perfect track where I've gone, the game music triggers a emotion.
Yeah.
And that's what I go from. Like, if I can get an emotion out of it, okay, fair enough. I can listen to a track and I feel like, okay, it was a good track. But if I don't get that emotional feeling with it, I don't know if I get the same. I don't know if I don't know if I'll ever get it that way. And that's why video game music is just so damn good.
That's when good video game music is like escapes the. It's okay track, because we've played plenty of video games where we've listened to music and we just cannot remember them to save our life. They're just there. Yeah. But then we got games like this where it resonated with us so much at a specific time in our life, where it makes sense to you and to a lot of people within that specific circumstance. And I feel it definitely. Maybe it's one me and you can try on a Silver Foxes live stream one day.
Oh, I'd love to do a Left 4 Dead stream with you. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
And get Paige on as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Apparently, it runs like a dream on the Steam Deck. It's quite an older game. It runs very well.
That was the first game I installed on it. Left 4 Dead 2. I was just like, straight on Left 4 Dead 2. I was just like, oh my god, playing Left 4 Dead 2 handheld is just, it's a dream.
I can never remember what I installed now on the Steam Deck first time. I really don't recall, sadly. It might have been a Sonic game, of course, but I don't recall.
It most likely was, yeah.
So, from one creepy track to another, we'll go straight into our next 2 tracks. Today I brought along T-A from Resident Evil 2. It's composed by, there's a few composers here, Masami Ueda, Shusaku Uchiyama, and Syun Nishigaki. Again, sorry. And Zach's brought along Metal Gear Solid 2, Yell Dead Cell by Norihiko Hibino. Apologies. And enjoy. Speaking of foreboding, Resident Evil 2 is a strange series for me because I love Resident Evil franchise. I often talk about it, and when I'm a regular viewer of Twitch. I love Twitch. I like watching it as a second monitor thing. And the main franchise I'd say I'd watch the most, surprisingly, is Resident Evil stuff. I enjoy watching Resident Evil no damage runs or speed runs or something like that. I don't know why. It's my version of a slow TV. And it started when I was a child, when I used to go over to my auntie's house, and she used to play all the Resident Evil games. She loved them, and I used to sit with her and watch them and watch her play the Resident Evil games. So I kind of experienced the whole Resident Evil franchise up until 4 through her. She was always excited about a new release. I would go over to her house and I'd watch her play through it. And even though it's just me and her, I still remember getting jump scared at various points because of different things. Because she would get scared and we'd both jump in our seat because of it. Even though I wasn't actually directly controlling the character. I can't remember what year this came out. I want to say 98 or 99. So I would have been about 8 or 9 at the time. And I vividly remember when the Tyrant and RE2 dropped down from the glass window, as I think she was playing Claire at the time, putting the gems in the statues and him dropping down and then running out the room thinking you were safe, and then coming around and then coming around the corner, and then boom, he burst through the wall, and then the doom. And I think that track perfectly started well with that doom. Here he is, this menacing heavy creature. And even though this isn't a boss at the time per se, I consider them mini boss fights because you can fight him through the corridors. And even like his introduction in the cutscenes where he just drops through the ceiling and then he rounds that corner and then the track plays, it really sells the sense of weight that he's just this hulking behemoth of a creature. And how it starts with the and when I'm doing whatever I'm doing on my main monitor, either playing a video game or reading or making something, and I'm not fully immersed into what's happening on the Twitch side of things, as soon as I hear the dun, I know instantly what's happening and probably where to. A great track to introduce the villain of Scenario B. He mostly features in Scenario B, and it still takes me back to that when I used to go over to my nan's house and go to my auntie's room as she was playing one of the Resident Evil games on the PlayStation 1. And even as I grew up with the series and she grew up with the series, I'd still go and visit her from time to time to play the Resident Evil games. So it takes me back to that, and I love this track. That's what I like about video game music sometimes. It's not always about the music in conjunction with the video game you're playing. It can also remind you of the time in your life around that, how a piece of video game music can just sort of transport you back to a specific time. Especially for myself, who needs a little help with that. I don't remember things very well or very clearly, and sometimes it may not be how I actually remember them. Yeah, sometimes it could be a video game scene or a picture or a piece of music that can connect me to that bit of the past that I enjoyed quite fondly. And this is one of those tracks. It means quite a lot to me. Resident Evil 1 and 2 soundtrack specifically, and 3 too, but mostly 1 and 2. And yeah, great track. What's your thoughts on RE2, TA?
I was literally going to say that you probably triggered a bunch of 90s kids playing this track.
Yeah, probably. Kind of like how you brought Diddy Kong Racing, but from a different perspective.
Even I had to make sure, I had to double check behind me that Tyrant hadn't burst through the bloody wall.
Hey, it did its job. God. It did its job.
Honestly, this is another track. This goes quite well with probably the Left 4 Dead tank,
yeah.
Because they're both things that do the exact same thing. They burst through doors, they burst through walls. You're not safe. You are not safe. You've got to run. And yeah, okay, fair enough. You could just go to your, the safe room in RE2, but Jesus, it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And this is it is a great soundtrack. It's a great theme for Tyrant. And you just know that from that first, it's, yeah, like even like I felt like it was like I actually did. If you've got a webcam, I could have seen me turn around because I did. I was just like, oh yeah, I know it's coming, but I'm keeping an eye on this wall.
It's the same reaction I have when I have, as I was mentioning before, it's on a stream somewhere and I hear the doon. I turn to look because I know what's happening, and I love watching streamers who are playing the games for the first time.
Oh god, yeah,
to see if they jump, and.
Yeah.
Even though it's quite pixelated graphics and it's not that good looking compared to today's standards, even by retro HD modernized standards, it looks quite rough. I think that tracks really helps sell because him bursting through the wall and that track line up so perfectly. It's jarring. It's a shock to the system, and I've seen a few streamers who've never played it before jump, and I think that sound right at the beginning really helps sell that, and then it's the rest, the forebodingness of the track that's quite intense and quite slow as well. Like with the tank one, there was a certain sense of speed to it, whereas this one it's quite slow.
It is very slow,
and I feel like that helps with creating a sense of anxiety. That slowness.
That's what it does. It creates the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
You're being stalked. You're someone's chasing you, and you don't want to get caught.
Yeah. And great track. And you brought in our next one, Metal Gear Solid 2, Yell Dead Cell.
I actually don't even know where to begin with this. I
actually
really
found this an awkward placement to place in our track listing. I do like to organise the tracks so it's certain kind of has a flow.
Yeah.
And not to say this is the odd one out, it's just I didn't exactly know where to put this one. So I just put it here.
I know even if we could find a way to put this in, I don't know if there's any words that I can think of in myself that would come out and try to explain why I put this track in. And I don't know if I can speak from behalf of a lot of Metal Gear Solid 2 fans, because 2 is my favourite.
I think it's a lot of people's too, and
there's quite a lot of people that do like 2, and I know there's obviously a big lot for free, and recently with the Delta game that came out, but this track is, I mean, there's a lot of Metal Gear Solid 2 tracks I could have picked, but for some reason it was this, and it could only ever be this. And that's multiple factors of, yes, okay, it features in predominantly a lot of the boss fights. Mainly with you got a Fat Man.
I was thinking Fat Man when I heard this track, because that springs to mind instantly, mostly because I hate that boss fight. When I did as a kid, I hate that
annoying. It is an annoying boss fight. But the one that brings I know I said that first, and it's quite weird I've said that, but actually the one I remember is the Solidus when he's fighting you in the jet.
Yeah,
and that's what I remember, being caught in such a really small little place. And then just having him fire missiles and, using the jet to try and kill you. It's just, it's such a bizarre track. It's like, it's got everything from, and it's a Metal Gear track. You don't even need
it features a lot of
know.
electronica, which a lot of tracks do.
It's got even just the slight little, like the little brass, is it like kind of like, not is it kind
not
of
electronica,
brass?
But like electric sound to it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of electronical things, but it's also got a lot of orchestrated things from like like some
like the
I don't know. Yeah,
like
that's
bits.
it. Yeah, like I don't know if it's like there's like a bit of a sax as well, like a little sign of a saxophone going off,
and the whistle effect as well.
Yeah, it's such a weird track. I mean, it had to be, but it's.
Context is it can be. It's like I wouldn't have, if you take it out of context and introduce this to somebody who has never played the video game, it may not necessarily bring them to mind a boss track per se, maybe something else. I do think there is certainly elements within it that would invoke the feeling of like maybe tension.
Well, it's a battle, isn't it? It's a battle track, and you can hear the battleness to the track. I don't know. Like I said, there's not much I can say other than it's fantastic. I love the track. That's all I can say. It's so, because even for the rest of Metal Gear, it's kind of like the only track for me that truly stands out.
Yeah,
because it stands out in a way that none of the other tracks go. They're all quite orchestrated tracks.
Yeah,
and this is the one that brings that electronic vibe. And does it fit the game or does it not? Because we went over this with 16, didn't we? And there was the whole drum and bass DM, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
With what's his name? Bloody Titan.
Oh yeah.
And that track, and it was just came out of left. It's like the game was like all orchestrated. It was all thingy, and then all of a sudden it just turned into a
Final Fantasy 14 boss fight.
Yeah, Devil May Cry bloody fight, and I'm like, none of the others did this. I wouldn't mind it if they all did that, but that was the only one.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it's very similar. I don't know if I want to call it that because I guess I'm a hypocrite, thinking like, okay, well I'm slagging on 16's track, but
you're allowed to dislike something and like another thing for the same reason. It just makes us human.
Yeah. I suppose it does.
We like our contradictions.
But I love it. It's such a good track. It does bring the excitement and the tension of the boss fights, because you're in one, and I feel like a lot of the boss fights in Metal Gear Solid 2 are a chore.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way, it's despite I think that's
especially
a lot
for me, a Fat Man.
The negative, but Fat Man's is a chore. I do think even Vamps can be a bit, and then you've got Fortune, and then you've got Solidus. But they're all quite similar, and they're all quite. It's like, oh, okay. But then you get this track that goes along with it, and it makes it bearable.
Yeah,
that's for me anyway. I think that's what helps.
I think, especially in the Metal Gear Solid franchises, I don't think every boss fight is a hit for me.
Yeah,
like even in 1, which I would consider my favorite, only because I never played anything else like it at that time. But I'm thinking of like the tank boss fight, which is fine. Even the Metal Gear Ray, right at the end, I didn't think that was my favorite. But like things like the Ninja and Vulcan Raven, I really enjoyed those boss fights, and with Sniper Wolf, and 3 other examples too. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 I never finished. 3 I don't remember finishing, but I may have not. 2 I don't recall finishing. I'm more confident that I didn't finish it, but I definitely got to Fat Man. If Metal Gear Solid series for me, there's another one like Resident Evil, where I used to go to my friend's house in high school, Mark his name is, and I used to bunk off to go to his house, and I would watch him play video games, and he used to play Metal Gear Solid religiously. He tried to do speedruns on extreme mode, and I'd watch him and be impressed playing the game. And 2 and 3 were ones he used to play a lot. And I think I only got as far as Fat Man. Yeah, I still think it's a great track. I think it accompanies quite well with the boss tracks in that it's quite a stylish track, maybe. I think that might be a word I can use for it. It's quite a stylish, intense to it, quite cinematic, sits quite nicely in the background. It doesn't take away from what's happening on the screen, and not overly bombastic. Yeah, I don't know what more to add to that one.
Yes.
It's a great track, though. Yeah, I don't know if I could listen to it in isolation too often, if that makes sense. I think that's a track that really works well, and I'd say that for quite a large majority of Metal Gear Solid tracks. I think they work very well within context, yet maybe not so well out of context, barring like I can never remember the name, but the one from Metal Gear Solid 2 is like do 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 do, like that one can be listened to very well out of context. And from tactical espionage to gothic hack and slash, that was a terrible segue. I didn't know how to connect those two. I couldn't put two together, two completely different types of games. But the next one is Chaos Legion, and Now I See, titled the track by Hideyuki Fukasawa. And a game that needs no introduction, but I'm going to attempt to anyway. Shadow of the Colossus, Revival Power by Ōtani. Enjoy. excuse I can in my whatever this is, I will try my best to introduce Chaos Legion to as many people as I can. Do you know how sometimes I have my little, my hyperfixations on certain things? It could be a video game, it could be a character, it could be a story, or a philosophical idea, or a music genre. I can't tell you how hyper-focused I was about Chaos Legion when I first played this game. It was still relatively early days for me for the PlayStation 2, and I was sort of dipping my toes into other genres. And I remember seeing the box art of Chaos Legion, and I was so intrigued by it. It's that sort of white stone gothic sort of vibe. And I played this before Devil May Cry, and I was so captured by its world and its story and its characters. I still vividly remember Zeke and Delacroix and their relationship, and Celia and Arcia, I think that was their names, and just this story of tragedy. It's a very tragic, I don't want to say dark as in violence, it's just dark in that there's a lot of melancholy, hopelessness, and trauma between these characters, and a mystery as well. The game starts with quite a strong mystery there's no really good bad guys per se. There's something happening underneath that no one's quite understanding what it is, and that's what really drew me into its story. Hook me in with a good mystery, and I'm there for the long haul, even if the game itself has ups and lows in terms of quality of its combat. Yeah, the music itself, as you can probably quite hear, it's quite gothic in tone. It's heavily inspired by choirs and church bells and organs and things like that. And what I love about this track is it's actually the final boss fight, and without giving too much context, the mystery is finally revealed, and it's just as tragic as you would expect it to be. And that's what I like about this track. It's especially with the context of the vocalist, the woman vocalist, that kind of choir-esque in a church. And when you look at the surrounding of the last boss fight arena, it's very much a cathedral-like environment. So I think that kind of works well with what you're seeing. And the track has this sense of finality to it, that tragedy has happened, we now know the mystery, and now we're coming to a close. It's time to finally put this to bed and move on with our life. The song really gives this emotional weight to the scene that's finally happening. And I remember at the time I was so moved by it, even though I was getting my ass handed to me. I really struggled. I struggled with any action game, anything where it requires quite quick reflexes, even though this game is quite slow in its combat. It's not a Devil May Cry at all, even though it's made by the same developers, Capcom. It's a completely different philosophy behind its combat. It's quite slow and deliberate, and it incorporates summons rather than tricky combat styles and combos. It really has this weight to it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say on that track. It really sells what's happening within the context of the story that's happening, right? Especially after the cutscene that's happened at the end. And this is my yearly pledge for other viewers. I was so obsessed with this game when I played it and finished it. I used to draw the characters on pieces of paper, like Zeke and Delacroix. I love the outfits of all the characters. They're all quite gothic and melancholy. There's lots of blacks and like deep browns and white, very contrasting colours. And Zeke's red hair, which contrasts all of the other colours, which gives it that subtle, he's the person who we're following, he's the lead character here. I used to have like desktop wallpapers of these characters on my desktop PC. I love this game so much. And the soundtrack's very much like that. It's a very mix of electric, gothic inspirations, because the entire world is very like stone and grey. Not too dissimilar from a lot of Devil May Cry. They might have actually just borrowed assets from each other. I don't know. And I'm sad to see that this was the only game in the franchise. To be fair, the story in Chaos Legion is very much a one shot. It's a one and done. There's no cliffhangers, so you can quite easily, if you're able to, you can play this game quite readily on via emulation. Unfortunately, there's no official way to play the game anymore unless you have original hardware and you're comfortable with emulation. It's quite an easy game to run via an emulation. Yeah, it's not a game that I've played recently. It's one I'd like to retry again. I feel like it's one of those games that's best left in the memories, because I don't know how well my modern sensibility of action games, like going from Stellar Blade, which I feel like is one of the peak action games I've played in recent memory, then going back to a game of that time that's quite slow. I don't know about the juxtaposition, but if you are somebody who's very much well in depth in the PlayStation 2 library and you feel like you've missed this one, I highly suggest giving this one a try. I would suggest don't go into it expecting Devil May Cry. Go into it expecting a completely different combat engine from Devil May Cry. I highly recommend it. And in regards to the track, it's great. It sells the scene of what's happening around you. It's also telling, or it's bolstering the narrative that's currently happening on screen. And it really moves me. Yeah, anything to add?
Like you said, I'm not familiar with the game. I've not played the game. I say not familiar. I do know of the game. I know exactly the game when you mentioned it. And I was just like, I remember the white cover. I remember seeing it. It's just not a game that I picked up. And, you know, it's so I have no physical memories or even nostalgic feelings towards any of the tracks, especially the track that you played. But hearing it and listening to it, it did feel like there was like some sort of, it felt like there was some sort of heroic undertone. Sort of like this is your journey. This is like the journey end.
Yeah.
And kind of almost like it's like a melody of lots of different emotions from it's like a bit of a hero-esque. However, there's a lot of grief. There's a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
Like of things, maybe. That's what I was getting. So I was like, again, I have no idea how this game plays out. But from listening to probably, what is it? Is it the final track in the game?
I don't know if it's the final boss fight. It's the last boss fight. And after this boss fight, there's no more game.
Right, okay. So yeah.
Apart from the ending track, it is the last one.
Right, okay.
There. Well, very well observed.
So yeah, I was just thinking, like, it sounds to me like this is the final. This is like everything you've been through, and this is the end. And it's like it's all come to head, and you're gonna have such a emotional time fighting this boss. That's what I got from that, and I assume it was very similar from what you played.
No, you're nearly spot on. You know, it is the penultimate fight of the boss track where resolutions have been said and the hero is coming into his own. He's finally free of guilt, and it's time to to finish what started a long time ago. And just having a quick research online, Chaos Legion is classed as abandonware. So if you go on myabandonware.com, where any game that's been abandoned, they're all legally free to download. It is available on there. I'm just looking at it now. It's freely available. So I have to look in the comments to get it to work.
As of the 18th of the 9th, 2025.
Yes, as of 18th to 9th, 2025, just in case they decide to bring it. Yeah, looking at the comments.
They renew the things for it, and we're on the. You can go and get it for free.
You can get it for free on my abandonware as of the recording 18th of the 9th, 2005. Yes, if you own a copy, you can. I would still suggest playing it on an original PlayStation 2 or ripping it to a disc and playing it via emulator with widescreen hacks and extra resolutions and all that MacGuffins, if that piques your interest. I really recommend just to try it. It's just to see if it's a thing for you. It's just experience the combat system and see if the mystery hooks you. Like for me, especially as a kid, I was hooked on the story, hooked on the characters. I needed to see this to its end. And it's one of the few games back then that I actually 100%ed. I got all the Chaos Legions. I got fastest time ranks. It might be one of the first games I ever speedrun that I didn't realize at the time I was speedrunning. I would just play this game over and over. I loved the combat. I enjoyed how slow it was. It worked for my neurodivergent brain, that it wasn't so quick. It was slow and weighty, and all the bosses were, when they came down, it was it really hit. We had a lot of weighty tracks today. Maybe it's a theme for boss fights where everything has to have a certain type of weight to it.
Now to bring in
speaking of weight,
oh, there's a lot of weight here.
Probably like one of the earliest examples of boss fights that were gigantuan. Like now it's very much commonplace, but without Shadow of the Colossus, I don't think we'd ever have conceived the idea of we should include boss fights that are gigantuan in nature. I think this boss fight is called Gigantus or something. I don't recall the Colossus's names. This is another one I brought along. Revived Power.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did. I was like, I know you're going to do it. I was like, I'll let you do this.
I didn't know which track to pick.
Original list.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't know which track to pick. So I thought, you know what, I'll just pick the most famous one because we're going to do multiple music podcasts. We'll probably bring other tracks from Shadow of the Colossus, so let's just get the big one done first. Not to say that this is bad. I think this is a track everybody remembers if they ever played this game. And if you've never played this game, I think this is a great track which stands in isolation. Yeah, in the context of what's happening. I love how as you climb the Colossus and you get closer to the top, like this track very much gets becomes almost overtakes the sound effects of the beast as well. Like this song is so prevalent when you are hitting the weak spots. It really feels epic and heroic and granular, and it's certainly the strings which are really bringing that, and it climbs as well, like you are literally doing in the video game as well. When you're climbing the Colossus, the music is climbing with you, and it gets louder and more prevalent. It's so good, and it's like it, especially when you're fighting the Colossus and you feel like you're holding on by the fingertips of your nails onto this Colossus as it's trying to shake you off, and this music just accompanies it so perfectly well. I think for me personally, out of the tracks we've all listed today, I feel like this is the one which complements what you are doing onto the scene the best for me personally. Resident Evil 2 might be like that as well. In fact, it is. That works in conjunction with each other as well. But in terms of what's happening on screen with the music and the sound effects, this beautiful trifecta, I think this is the track which perfectly exemplifies that idea. What's your thoughts on Shadow of the Colossus?
Well, I was just having a look. The Colossi name is Gaius the Knight. So I was just having a bit of a Google on that one. But you've said it best. When you're climbing Gaius, and the music starts, this game. Remember, this game came out, and it was kind of just. I mean, back in the 2000s, yes, we didn't. Yes, we had a bit of the internet. We didn't have like it was today. And this was a game that kind of just was out. Didn't get much time. I don't remember seeing much of it in magazines or actually getting any time. It was after it. And then when people started playing this game, that's when I started seeing magazines actually talk about the game. And I remember renting it from Blockbusters, big up Blockbusters. And just looking at it, thinking, this looks like a I don't know what to expect. I was like, I didn't really know, and I just put it in, and I was like, okay, it's just is it a running? It's just free roam. Is it a free roam running around game? And I'm just trying to find my way around this whole gigantic map, and then after a while, it's like, oh no, you're supposed to follow the sun. You put the sword up, and it shows you where to go. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what you have to do. So I spent most of this game running around doing nothing.
It's so big as well. The game's huge. And
so then you get to these monsters. You get to these colossi, and each of them are unique in their own way, and they're great. They all have great themes, but the one, as you say, the one that stands out the most is the third one. Is the one when you're climbing up this. Well, you break some climbs anyway, but you've got to climb up into this big circular arena. And you get to the top, and then you're like, where is this thing? You don't really get to see it, and it's quite cloudy. It's very misty, and all of a sudden you just see this thing just sit up like the Undertaker, and then it's just like, and it just stands up, and you're like, I gotta climb that. It's just, and the music at this point hasn't even kicked in. You just get the eerie music, and then as soon as you get the sword to come down, and then you're running up the sword to jump on, and then this hit, and then you hear that theme. That is gaming that's gaming personified. That is perfect. I mean, this game deserves this game. If this game came out today, this game would change the world. It would be, I mean, if this game came out, this is, as you mentioned, this is a game that helped bring the monolith gigantuous boss battles where you've got to climb on them or use multiple levels to get to, to fight. Now, if we didn't get that, yes, granted, would we have ever got all the other games? But that's what I'm trying to say is, like, this game is appreciated, but I don't think it's actually appreciated to what it should be. And
I agree with that statement, yeah. I feel like, do you know, in music terms, like, I'm not going to say traditional, but like music you hear in the radio, that I'm paraphrasing, there's a term where that's a band for other bands. If that makes sense. It's like a band that not a lot of people know, yet other bands and other artists and other composers, it's their favorite band. I feel like especially Eco, I think Eco more so. Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus can be like that as well, where it's game developers' favorite video game. Just because of, I think what Shadow of the Colossus does extremely well is simplicity. It just gets rid of everything that's not needed. Don't need a HUD right now, get rid of it. And when a HUD comes in, it just shows you specifically what you need at that time. It doesn't give you hit points flying all around everywhere when you attack the thing. Everything's quite slow and deliberate. The camera is pointing in the right direction. And yes, the controls, even for that time, took some getting used to. Even the controls at the time, I remember feeling had some type of weight to it. It did feel like you're kind of controlling a fumbling character, which in a sense you kind of were narratively. It's the character looked like just a skinny, not combat ready character. He was great with the horse riding, great with the bow, yet sword wise, it really did feel like you were just flailing and you were just going in way, way, way out of your depth. Yet, like the character itself, it's just one thing, just climb, just climb, just climb, just climb. And it really rewards you specifically with its music, and then the downward as the Colossus finally topples, and the sadness that approach. We're kind of getting a little off topic. We're talking about it in terms of game design rather than music. We'll come back to the track. I think the track really sells it well, that you are rising to something. You're with the strings, you're rising to something, and as you climb higher, the music gets more prevalent. It gets more to the forefront. As you were saying before, it's quite it's just the ominous sound when you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Great track. Anything else to add?
There's nothing else you can add. Play the game. Play the game.
It's also been faithfully, I believe. I've not played the remaster, sadly. It's on my to-do list. Well, remade, actually.
You play it?
I've not played the remake, no. I've only ever played the original.
Oh, wow. I played that. I played that.
I haven't got around to it. I still haven't played The Last Guardian either. That's another one I haven't got around to.
I haven't done that one either. Still need to do that.
Maybe it's a stream game one of us could do one day.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be fantastic to do.
But, yeah, it's faithfully remade on PlayStation 5 and 4. It's easily accessible. Sadly, Eco's not easily accessible. I know it's on PlayStation 3, but I don't know if it's on Eco PlayStation Classics. It may still be on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's still on the PS Store. I know it's relatively cheap. It's not an expensive game to get on the PS4.
Nothing's popping out at me as I'm looking through the store.
I think you can pick one up for around
I say Shadow of the Colossus.
20.
Thankfully, in terms of retro, Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, the originals are not overly expensive. They're still quite relatively affordable.
They were at one point.
Point, but I think because of the remaster, the Shadow of the Colossus at least has gotten a bit cheaper. Sadly, I'm not seeing anything on the store. I'm not saying that there isn't. It might be on the PlayStation 3 Classics streaming service, the PlayStation offer. It would be nice to have a Eco and Shadow of the Colossus Classics collection ported over to PS4 at least, or digitally, and on PC. But
oh my god!
Yeah, the PlayStation 2 ones are quite easily emulatable if you're comfortable with that.
I don't even want to read this out, but I've just seen a post on Reddit, and I don't even want to read it.
Then don't.
I feel like this is not. I know you're a person of like happy and like, oh, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But this guy's wrong. This guy is wrong. Literally, the title is Shadow of the Colossus, one of the worst games I've ever played.
Hey, stuff like that, I can believe. Doesn't matter if a game is highly regarded. There's got to be people who don't like it, and I believe that. Like a terrible video game, like think of a proper bad video game that's just no one likes it, to somebody somewhere in the world that is somebody's favorite video game, and it's incredibly justified. It's video games, as video game music is incredibly subjective. Even though a game could mechanically be quite terrible, to somebody it's great. It's the best game they've ever played of their life because of the context around it, which we may not be privy of. And playing Shadow of the Colossus, the original, in 2025 or 2024 even, it's not aged well. It's in terms of controls. I don't think the controls has aged well at all.
Yeah, the controls are iffy.
I think thematically it's aged very well. Especially with the music, it's aged very well. It's so well, in fact, they've remastered it for the PlayStation 4 and 5. If you can find the means to play this game, please play it. I don't know if it's on Steam. I know Sony's slowly releasing some of their catalog onto Steam. I don't know if this is available on Steam. But if you're on the PlayStation 5, there you go. It's incredibly cheap. It's often on sales. If it may actually be free on PlayStation Plus, it wouldn't surprise me. Or the PlayStation streaming, whatever. And if you enjoyed this as well, I highly recommend Eco, where it all started. Fantastic game as well. Are we ready to move on to our last track?
I think we are.
We still haven't found out the format on how we want to do the last track. I would most certainly like to end the show with our last track, and then let's just let it fade out. Maybe with like a little outtake at the back. Maybe the cat one could be an outtake. Who knows?
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, we'd also would like to discuss the track as well. So now would be a good time to introduce our last track, which is, of course, Doom, BFG Division, wrote by our own ZakashiGaming, composed by the legendary Mick Gordon, who neither track knows introduction. I've only played Doom for 10 minutes, if that. Yeah, I've listened to this track quite often. When I used to do the Final Fantasy XIV hangouts on a Saturday, this is one of those songs that would often get played. So as you brought it along today, what's your thoughts and feelings on the track?
Dear me. See, this is a world that I absolutely adore. I love everything to do with Doom, and Mick Gordon doing the soundtrack to the Doom 2016 was it couldn't have, got someone. It couldn't have got anyone better. He brought life. He brought that grit. He brought that depth. The word depth to music, and
again,
bringing
heavy.
it back in that raw, in that heavy raw. Just it's phenomenal. And the only thing I was going to say, and it kind of goes back what we were talking about Shadow Colossus. When we all think of gaming music and we all think of like iconic tracks, and it's most of the time, and I mean, I'm not saying that we can change the chapters have changed, and I understand, like, when you look at Mario, you look at Sonic, you look at a lot of like first level music, everyone remembers the first levels. And I always wonder, if these tracks are suited in the right places, would Revised Power be better? Would it have been better on the first boss, or would it have been? Is it actually best to have it there? Because sometimes you want, your first fight to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And we all go to the third one. We all go to that third one from Shadow of Colossus. Yeah. And yet BFG Division is in the same boat. It doesn't get featured until quite far into the game.
Yeah.
And there are other tracks that you hear. So, and then, but when you think of Doom, or when you think of the Doom soundtrack, most people will put down BFG Division, and they'll put that as like their number one. I mean, I know what number two would be, but most people predominantly would play BFG Division. And that's the same thing for me. So yes, is it rewriting history? Are we basically going, doesn't matter where the track is, as long as we get to hear said track, and as long as the track is implemented in a way that we will all remember. Hence why Revised Power is such an epic track to go with an epic boss. And
it's definitely boss music.
The same thing with BFG Division. It's implemented in an area where you get the BFG, and you want a track to kind of bring your journey, or to that point of getting the gun, to a point of like it's worth it. And then the one thing is, and I was watching a video of someone playing it just before, because it's a long time ago I played 2016, because I've not replayed the game, because I was like, how does it actually come about? Because sometimes you think, how do these tracks come in? And you have to like take that into consideration sometimes. So I was like, all right, let's see where this track actually starts. And one thing actually I didn't realize until I watched someone's playthrough, or at least this bit of the game, is that when they're fighting in this like the arena bit, that when you're doing certain, like if you're doing glory kills or something, little bits of the track just come through.
Yeah.
Like tiny bits of it.
It's a dynamic track,
then,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just tiny bits of it, and then you'll go back, and then it goes back to a bit of the aura of the beginning of well, once you hear the beginning of the song, it's kind of that most of the game. And then when you do a glory kill, you'll hear bits of the track, the main bit, come out, and then the game throws more enemies on the screen, and then the track comes out. And oh my God, that feeling, and having something of, I mean, I'm a massive metalhead, And I think, again, most people who play Doom are too. So when they, it's a very metal game, and that was always the scare that I think most people thought about when they were bringing back Doom, because Doom 3 went down a horror route and didn't really bring that metal feel.
It wasn't not everyone's favorites, was it? I think if the one extra person that finds us by accident, I'm sure they would understand this track, and I feel like this is a track that's played on lots of streams, even if the game has not been played on said stream. This track gets around. It's a great track, and its use of like just that 8 strings, like and the woo. It feels like a song that's just continually punching things. It's like boom, 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 boom. It really gets your head bobbing, and it's quite slow as well. It's slower than you think it is. It's like do. And then there's certain fast bits in there. It's like dun, 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 dun. It's a great track, and it's long as well. And sometimes it still feels too short. Okie dokie. Zakashi, thank you so much for joining us today. And for you listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. Remember, we have a Discord. Join us on the Silver Foxes Discord, where we announce all our shows, when they go live, when each one of us is going live on our respective streams on the purple platform. If you know, you know. We are the Silver Foxes on the purple platform, and ZakashiGaming. You are finishing up Sonic Omens, which is entertaining to watch from my perspective. I have giggled and laughed so many times on how bad of an experience you are having with that. It amuses me, and it's great that we could both play the same game but have 2 completely separate opinions on it. It's great. That's why I love our friendship. And I'll stream when I get around to it. Come follow us in the Discord to keep up to date with all our happenings, as well as when this show goes live. Thank you, everyone, and good day wherever you are. And we are ending with Doom BFG Division by Mick Gordon. Enjoy. And I don't. Can you hear that cat? I'm sorry, I got distracted by cats fighting.
I thought I heard something. I was like, it was. I didn't want to say anything. I was just like, I swear that's a cat.
Yeah, it's I got distracted by cats.
Even the cat disagrees. Even they're fighting over it.
Can you imagine? That's what the internet's like. Just everyone's an angry cat fighting over each other because their favorite game got offended.
Yeah.
But yeah.